The Olympics, World Cup, and the World Expo are three major international events. Now, will South Korea be able to become the seventh nation in the world to have hosted all three by becoming the host of the 2030 World Expo? For more, we turn to Professor Samuel Richards this morning. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Professor Richards, what do you think South Korea has done well to really appeal Busan's suitability as the host ahead of Riyadh and Rome? What do you think?
Well, what Korea's done well is become an economic and technological miracle over the course of the past 60 to 70 years. And that's what it's done well. And then managed to share its fascinating culture with the rest of the world. And this has been the foundation of Korea's soft power. And there's nothing more valuable than soft power when it comes to the bid for World Expo 2030. You cannot put a price on that. But if we want to get specific, Korea has proposed an incredibly forward-thinking Expo 2030. And Korea's proposal is grounded in giving countries around the world access to some of the most important Korean businesses and technologies. And essentially saying, hey, would you like to see your country follow the path that our country has followed? And you can take the steps in moving in this direction. So follow us. We're going to show you how. And then, you have celebrities who have brought a great deal to this campaign. But, in the end, support for something like this is going to come down to economics and not culture. But the celebrities and people being involved are extremely important because they are the face of a nation in different ways.
Definitely. Also, the faces of the soft power you just mentioned. Now, on top of that, President Yoon Suk Yeol has been out on a diplomatic run, holding summit talks with the leaders of around 100 countries for the past year and a half. Now, that must have helped to tout Busan as the most, appropriate host city. That probably has helped a lot as well, right?
Yeah, so there's nothing like one-on-one conversations with world leaders and their immediate staff. And this has been happening for many months, but in particular the past several weeks. I saw this in Paris when I was there, and I had the opportunity to speak with numerous diplomats and their staffers on a variety of issues in a variety of countries. And I had the opportunity to ask them what was important to them when it came to World Expo 2030 and what they wanted to see the host country offer. And I received a variety of responses, but what I saw was the importance of speaking to people one-on-one. And so, the other day I watched a video of President Yoon's dinner with King Charles in England, and I was struck by how valuable it is to see the Korean president engage world leaders in this way. It puts Korea in a certain kind of global spotlight, much like the state dinner that he had at the White House earlier this year. It's extremely valuable for a bid like this.
Definitely. Professor Richards, I do have to point out, though, South Korea was a little behind in joining the race, which is why it appears that Saudi has already persuaded so many countries in Africa and the Pacific Islands. Then what is South Korea's last chance, do you think, to really turn the tables?
Well, okay, so the fact that Saudi Arabia might appear to have already convinced a number of nations to support the Saudi bid probably has little to do with the fact that Korea was behind in joining this race, and perhaps more with the fact that the Saudis are likely making promises to other nations, promises that proclaim support for one thing or another. I have no idea what those might be, but I can imagine. But what Korea is promising is to showcase one of the most forward-thinking international events that the world has ever seen. And Korea is a nation that's built on technology. The Koreans themselves have developed and moved forward in the world. It's Korean-built technology. It's the country. Korea did not sell some natural resource on the global market and then purchase technology from other countries around the world. Korea paid for everything that Korea is with brains and sweat as their most important natural resource. So, if nations can look past short-term promises and look at longer-term possibilities, then I think that we'll see certainly if Korea doesn't win, we'll see a runoff, which I think will be in Korea's favor.
Definitely so much to offer from technology and culture. As I mentioned earlier, if Busan does become the host, South Korea will become the 7th country in the world to have hosted all 3 of the biggest global events, including the Olympics and the World Cup. Now, what would that mean? What significance does it hold for Korea and its national status even?
Well, okay, so here's how I would respond to that. Even if Korea does not win the World Expo bid, it's still significant that in my lifetime, Korea has gone from being a small, poor debtor nation to one of the world's most powerful and advanced societies. So that it has hosted any of these international events in such a short period of time, in terms of its economic development, is far more monumental than being able to say that it hosted all 3. And I think it's important to keep this in mind and remember that Korea has already won in this competition. Korea is a leading global nation. It will continue to be long into the future. And in this sense, Korea has won.
Definitely. All right, Professor Richards, thank you so much for your time and your insightful comments this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me. Be well and good luck. Let's hope for the best.